Welcome back to Crit and Crit. I'm Axion,
I'm Sint.
and we are continuing our playthrough of Final Fantasy IX and our discussion of The Tragedy of King Lear by William Shakespeare. And it looks like we're wrapping things up in Dali. I mean, looks like things are a bit odd in this town. And Steiner is clearly up to something.
I really do like the graphics upgrade for this.
Yeah, it is really nice looking. Just trust me. Okay, we've stalled a little bit. Let's get on to the real point of this episode. It's not too late for us to get out of town, and Zidane clearly has a plan. But sometimes it is too late. There's things that have to be done, things that need doing, and you only have so long to go with. Zidane, don't be a pervert. And sometimes, when things are happening and things are happening fast, you can run out of time. And especially when the matter comes to life and death.
And honestly, we have a couple different examples throughout Lear.
Yep.
So which one should we talk about first?
Honestly, I think it's best to start with King Lear himself.
Alright, so we have the obvious one for Lear. He divides up his kingdom based on who kisses up the most, and therefore the only honest child he has is kicked out, disowned, given nothing, and forced to leave the country. He does not get to make up for this because when they are finally reunited, have approximately 15 minutes together before they're both arrested as prisoners of war because their country loses, and you tend to not be treated super well as a prisoner of war because this was written predating the Geneva Conventions, which are still roundly ignored in a variety of places even today by certain people in power, and we should probably not get political, but...
I mean, to some degree it's inevitable.
I know.
But we don't need to go into detail, you're right.
So yeah, prisoners of war, Cordelia is hanged, and Lear dies of grief, without ever fully getting to atone for everything that happened. And ultimately, like we mentioned, this all happened because he drove her away, not just gave her nothing, but exiled her.
Mm-hmm.
If she'd been allowed to come back, she wouldn't have had to leave. So they wouldn't have been in the enemy camp, they wouldn't have been in a position that their deaths could have been ordered, And it wouldn't have been a case of, oh, I did this too late. I rescinded the execution order too late. Oopsie daisies.
That's what's his name excuse, but obviously it's
We'll never know for sure. Yeah, and it's Edmund.
yeah, Edmund. It's a lousy excuse, basically.
Yep. But it's a commonly used trope of, I'm sending you the pardon, but the pardon doesn't get there in time. Because I think it does show that he tried to have a change of heart. It's just, maybe try not to need a change of heart, because maybe if you actually have one to begin with, you don't have to change it out.
Also, we discussed this in a prior episode. That's a dumb way to handle your prisoner of war when they're a royal or other person of high importance.
Yeah, double royal, Princess of Britain, Princess of France, Queen of France. But yeah, also with Lear, he never makes it up to Kent. I don't think he realizes it's Kent at all.
He never does. It never states that he figures out that Caius is Kent.
Yep. So Kent, as we mentioned before, gets exiled because he committed this grievous crime of, hey, Lear, I don't think you're doing the smart decision right now. Can you and Cordelia talk this out calmly before you disown and exile her? No, get out of my sight. You're exiled too.
I'm in a bad mood today.
Today.
I mean, we don't get to see him in any prior days.
Yeah. Kill thy physician and thy thee bestow on the foul disease. Revoke thy gift, or whilst I can clamor from my throat, I'll tell thee thou dost evil. Hear me, recreant, on thine allegiance hear me. Thou hast sought to make us break our vows, which we durst never yet, and with strained pride to come betwixt our sentence and our power, which nor our nature nor our place can bear. So I'll give you 5 days to get out of town. And yeah, Kent is loyal enough to come back in disguise to try and take care of Lear. Lear never notices this.
Yep.
So
Completely
he never
oblivious.
he never manages to atone for treating Kent like crap, just like he barely gets to apologize to Cordelia. So it's great that Lear has had this realization, but sometimes learning that you're the bad guy, you're the architect of your own destruction, doesn't really give you anything more than just a sour taste in your mouth as everything falls around about you. Sometimes, if you have the realization early, you can atone. You can turn your life around. You can make a fresh start. You can rebuild those bridges. You can have a second chance. Somewhat strained because you've kind of already shown that you might not be the most reliable person, so people will be wary, but they might be trusting enough. And sometimes you realize on your deathbed.
Yep.
So, Gloucester or Edmund, you think?
Gloucester. Let's get Gloucester out of the way because his is going to be a shorter one.
Yep. So, Gloucester with his 2 sons, one legit, one not. And even though he loves them both, he's kind of dumb.
I wouldn't say dumb. I would say, maybe let's say naive. He doesn't have reason to suspect that his beloved, if illegitimate son, has any reason to do such a thing. As far as he's aware, his sons get along. They have no reason to be hostile to one another. They have no reason to do anything like this, so he doesn't suspect anything is amiss when stuff happens.
On the other hand, he also doesn't have anything other than the word of his secondary son, who would stand to inherit if something happened to the first son, to suspect his oldest and legitimate heir. So it's very much a case of, I'm going to conveniently take everything you say on faith without doing any sort of investigation on my own. I'm not even going to ask to verify anything. I'm just going to take it and go so far as to exile my oldest and favored son, who I supposedly love more than you, according to your brain. And just, he's now a criminal when he's done nothing except listen to you. Gloucester doesn't get to fix anything because his life just goes downhill from there, because the more reliant he becomes on Edmund, the more Edmund decides he wants, which leads to Regan and her husband blinding him, while Edmund doesn't do anything at all about this.
Yep, just... as far as I remember, he just stands there and watches. Or is he not in the room at the time? I might be misremembering.
I am going to check.
Yay, free trance.
Edmund leaves early in that scene.
So he's not there at the time, but he doesn't.
He's not.
He doesn't stick around.
He doesn't stick around. Like, this is after he did hear the order of Regan, hang him instantly. Goneril, pluck out his eyes. Cornwall, leave him to my displeasure. Then Goneril and Edmund leave. So Edmund hears this and does nothing to stop it. But even if it was just a case of, I'm going to leave so you don't kill me, he does nothing to avenge his father either, shows no sort of compunctions about familial ties with that regard. Because, well, if he's gone, I get to be in charge. Okay, more accurately, Gloucester's not quite there yet. So seek out the traitor Gloucester. So, yeah, then Edmund does not re-enter in that scene, I believe. So, yeah, he's not there when they blind him, but he doesn't do anything about it.
Yep, and he knows that they're upset and going to do something to him.
Yep.
This is much harder without a healer in the party.
Yep. So yeah, Gloucester wanders around until Edgar, the son he has given no reason to care for him anymore, finds him. The kid he exiled, accused of murder without anything other than the most tenuous of proof, now has him fully in his mercy and chooses to help him.
And that's... when you get down to it, that's the difference. Edgar actually loves his father. He actually cares about him. Edmund, he's just a stepping stone. He's something that stands between him and getting greater power. Because once he crosses that threshold at the beginning of the story, where he's like, I deserve more than I have, and I'm willing to do heinous things to acquire it. After that point, nothing's off the table.
Yep, I'm trying to find the bit where Edgar talks about... shift into a madman's rags to assume a semblance that very dogs sustained, and in this habit met I my father with his bleeding rings, their precious stones new lost, became his guide, led him, begged for him, saved him from despair. Never, O fault, revealed myself unto him until some half hour passed when I was armed, not sure, though hoping of his good success, I asked his blessing, and first to last told of our pilgrimage. But his flawed heart, alack too weak the conflict to support, twixt two extremes of passion, joy, and grief, burst smilingly. So the instant he learned that Edgar was alive and was there and caring for him, it was too much and he had a heart attack. So he never got the chance to atone to Edgar, to apologize, to try and make it up to him. Even though I'm fairly certain he probably figured out that Edmund shouldn't have been trusted about the moment the first thing pulled out his eye.
Yeah.
So yeah, which I guess brings us now to Edmund, who, in the same scene, repents of what he has done. This speech of yours hath moved me, and shall perchance do good. But speak you on, you look as if you had something more to say. More from Edgar, scrolling down to Edmund. I pant for life, some good I mean to do despite of mine own nature. Quickly send, be brief in it to the castle, for my writ is on the life of Lear and on Cordelia. Nay, send in time. Run, oh run. Get hasty for thy life. He hath commission from thy wife and me to hang Cordelia in the prison, and to lay the blame upon her own despair that Shakespeare did herself. And this doesn't get fixed in time. So yeah, good old Goneril had a hand in that too. It was like, yeah, we said we should hang Cordelia and make it look like she killed herself from despair when the army lost.
Best sister.
I mean, at least this was the one who didn't say, yes, blind the Duke.
That's not really much better.
I know, I'm just saying.
No, yeah, you're right. I completely get it.
They're both complete turds as far as siblings go, but at least one of them doesn't have corn chunks.
Thank you for that lovely image.
Yeah. But yeah, the point is, while repentance is well and good, it only does good if you actually realize that it's needed and you do something about it while you still have time for it to matter. Because we're mortal. Life is finite. Waiting too long, sometimes it's not going to work. And this is a lesson learned the hard way by Lear, Gloucester, and Edmund. Because in the end, most of the cast is dead by the end of the play.
As is the way of Shakespearean tragedy.
Let the bodies hit the floor indeed. So yeah, if you know you have wronged someone, or suspect you might have, take some time in self-reflection and act sooner rather than later. That's all I got.
And I think that's a good place to let it stop.
Okay, can I just comment for a second on the nice, calming world map music while the plumes of smoke rise in the background?
Well, it's not our fault that the Black Waltz set his own little craft on fire.
Anyway, catch you guys later.
See ya.